All right. So tonight's topic is what happens when you get rejected or your college application gets rejected, waitlisted, or deferred? What do you do? So, it's there are so many things that you can do to get in college. Don't get down. But if you have any questions, go ahead and put them up and I will go ahead and address them. But tonight's topic is what you what do you do when your college application gets rejected, waitlisted, or deferred, and what does that even mean? Okay, so a lot of people may have already completed their college application, turned it in, and did early admissions. So they were applying for early admissions. So if you got a rejection, it wouldn't flat out say necessarily a rejection unless they don't want you at all. They might have deferred your application. And another thing they might have done is they could have waitlisted your application. So once again, the topic tonight is if your college application has gotten waitlisted, deferred, or rejected, what can you do to get into college? So again, it's waitlisted, deferred, or rejected. What can you do to get into college? And then I will be going over each of the different issues in depth during this webinar. So the biggest thing is rejection. Please don't take this personal. This doesn't mean that you're a bad person, that you're not smart. This is just a numbers game too. So if you got rejected, maybe you have to really look deep down within yourself. Maybe you did not meet the minimum or the standard qualifications. So you might not have a 3.0 or a 3.2 like they stated, and you might have applied and you have a 2.9. That doesn't mean that you can't go to college. It means that you got rejected from that school because they felt that you might not necessarily be a good candidate or meet the minimum qualifications. And so the issue with that is you just have work to do regardless, but you can still get into college. So rejection, don't take it personally. That just means that one door has closed on that one. But if you feel that you have met all the requirements, you have the grade point average, you have the community service, you're well-rounded, and you believe that you meet the qualifications just for the application, and you believe that you've been rejected, you can appeal the decision. This is not good. Yes, you can appeal the decision. So that's one way you could do it. But again, if you got rejected, another thing that you can do, if that's your dream school, you can always go to another school and you could possibly transfer in. You could also go to a community college. You save money. You go ahead and get your grades up. You take classes to prove that you can handle college coursework. So you could go to community college or another college, even a state college, and then apply again, but as a transfer student. That's one thing that a lot of people don't think of. And as a result, many people don't, try to transfer into certain schools. So the ability for you to get in is actually higher if you try to transfer in than flat out applying when you are coming out of high school, when your grades may not have been as good as they should have been. I know people are going through things in high school, and so sometimes they don't, do what they're supposed to do academically, and they could have done better. But maybe it's, you waited till your senior year to do right, or your junior year. So like I said, you've got rejected, but that doesn't mean that you can't go there in the future. You might just try other options, maybe going to community college or another college and then transferring in. But again, you're building up your skills that you need academically to prove that you can get into that school. And the other thing is if you got, maybe you applied to early admissions and you didn't get accepted during early admissions, and what they do is they defer your application. So if they defer your application, sometimes what they do is, I think is pretty nice. is they don't flat out say that you're rejected. What they do is kind of like give you some guidance on what you need in order to do, to apply again. So if you've applied to early admissions and your application got deferred, that just means that it's going in the regular application round. And they might say within your, within the letter that they sent to you, saying that, you know, your application has been deferred into the regular, basically, round, what they might say is, and we need a copy of your senior year first semester transcript. And so what that also indicates to you as applicant is that maybe your grades weren't necessarily where they should be. So they still think that you're a good candidate, and they want to see that, you know, your first semester grades. Because so if you apply to early admissions and of course they don't have the first semester grades, they might, you know, say, oh, well, they're, you know, their academic or their GPA is kind of on the edge and we're not sure. So why don't they send in their first semester transcript, and then we will look at them during the regular round of applications. So that is a good sign. But at the same time, if you have been deferred, I think that you should also apply to other colleges, because what if that falls through? If you don't apply to other schools, and then you're just going to be sitting, you know, in a place where you haven't gotten into college. So I think that as a rule, you should apply to at least 3 to 5 schools. But however, if this is your dream school, again, if you have been deferred, they say, hey, you know what, we need your first semester your senior transcript, go ahead and turn that in. And absolutely make sure that you have done your FAFSA if you haven't done that, because you want to see what your family contribution is going to be towards your college. But I know if I got deferred and my application was going into the regular route, another thing you need to do is go ahead and call up the admissions office. A lot of people don't do that. Call up the admissions office and say, hey, you know what? My application got deferred. I will have my counselor send in the grades, but are there any other issues or something that you feel that didn't show who I am academically and socially as a person that could help? So they might let you know. You know, what's the worst that somebody could tell you is no. So if they already deferred your application, they said turn in your transcript, I would call up the admissions officer, talk with them about, you know, the deferment. But then I would probably try to write a letter and, you know, tell why you are a good candidate. Because the question is, a lot of people who are running these colleges want to know that you are going to contribute to the college environment academically and socially, and that, you know, you'll be a good fit. So maybe your application didn't show who you are and your personality. So by sending in an essay with your scores, will give them a kind of like a better picture of who you are. So, I mean, that's not going to hurt. So go ahead and write another essay to kind of tell more about yourself, so they know who you are. You know, your essay or whatever you're turning in should be something that just makes them want to meet you. And probably those, again, if they deferred your application, that doesn't mean that they don't necessarily want you, but they're kind of concerned possibly about your academics and don't necessarily have a full picture of who you are. So, you know, if you're an admissions officer, you're probably reading all the same stories over and over again. A lot of high schoolers always say, my name is, and, you know, I came from. Nobody, just tell us a story. Tell us who you are, and don't say like, I came from, you know, this place and I did that, but tell a story and make it compelling and make it no more than maybe like 2 pages. But your personality and who you are should jump off of the page when they read it. So Deferred doesn't mean denied, but again, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. I would apply to other schools that I think, I could get into. So that's the beauty of actually applying to early admissions. So you kind of know, but when you're waiting, you can't do anything about it, but just follow exactly what the directions say. Get in touch with the admissions office and send in an essay or some kind of supplement that tells them who you are, why you want to go to the school so bad. If this is your dream school, I'm assuming if these are not necessarily dream schools or places that you want to go to, you wouldn't apply. So go ahead. I mean, what's the worst that you can, somebody can tell you, like I said, is no. But, if there's a will, there's a way, and you'll find a way. The other thing that can happen on your applications is if you've been waitlisted. Now, if you've been waitlisted, that means kind of like you're the second round pick, meaning that if they might have already picked all the people that they need to, to make their numbers of how many students they need in their freshman class. So if they've already looked over all the applications and you've been waitlisted, that means that you are the second round trip. Like say if, they send out all the letters to people of who got accepted, and some of the people who got accepted say, you know what, I decided to go somewhere else. If you're on that wait list, then that's when you can get in if somebody else who is a first round or first chosen to go to that college chooses not to attend. So waitlist, again, it's not a bad thing. I wouldn't take myself off the list if I was waitlisted. You, again, just make sure that you have other options, but you're kind of in limbo. But don't get discouraged if you're in limbo. You just make sure that you have backup plans after backup plan. The only thing is that if this, again, is one of your dream schools, think about alternatives. If you still want to go there, you will not get off the wait list until almost the start of the next school year. So if you got in another college and you think that, it's cool, I could go there, but I'm also on the wait list for my dream school, go ahead and, put down your deposit for the other school so that you have a place to go, that if you don't get into your, if they don't take you off the wait list, that you are at where you want to be. So when I say where you want to be, you're at a school. So again, deferred, waitlisted, rejection. Don't take these things personal. I always think of this. If this is something that you really want to do, if there is a will, there is a way. So if this is your dream school, you can go there. This might not necessarily, if you got rejected, that just means that you're not going there right now. So you can go to another college and transfer in. You can go to community college and do well, get your associates, and then transfer in. But again, if you got rejected, you still want to go to that school, and it's a dream school, go to another school, but you want to stay in contact with the dream school and then ask them, what classes are transferable so that you're not wasting your money at the other school before you transfer in. I went to Spelman, and that was my dream school, and I got in, but there were some of my friends who wanted to go to Spelman, and that was their dream school. They didn't get in, and I suggested that they go to community college or another college first and then transfer in, because a lot of people don't think about transferring into Spelman. And one of my friends actually did that, and so she eventually went to her dream school, Spelman. She went to community college first, and she graduated. So it can happen if this is your dream school. If it's just a school that you're interested in, then, just, let it slide off, let it roll off your sleeve. Don't take it personal. But if you have been deferred for a school, again, that just means that, you might not necessarily meet the academic requirements. They want to see if your grades for your senior year are going to be good. So you're going to have to, keep doing well in school, keep being engaged in those after school activities. Don't slack because, you feel like you've got rejected. You got to keep working at it. There is a place for you. So don't ever think that, being waitlisted, deferred, or rejected means that you can't go to that school. Like I said before, if there's a will, there's a way. It just means not right now. Deferred, if it's a school that you got deferred, that just means that your application is going into the regular round. So you have like a second chance. But again, you always want to apply to at least, I say, 3 to 5 schools so that you can go to a place that you feel is a good fit for you. Now, if you've been waitlisted, absolutely make sure that you, if you got accepted into the other school, commit and then, put down your deposit, because if you have been taken off of the wait list for school, it won't happen till nearly when it's time to start school. So you're going to be kind of in limbo, and you're going to have to be okay with that. But that's why it's so important for you to go ahead and apply to at least 3 to 5 schools. Now, if all these things have happened to you, you've got rejected, you've got waitlisted, you've got deferred, please tell me that you have at least done your financial aid application, the FAFSA. If you haven't done that, you can, of course, look at one of the videos on my YouTube channel to help you complete your application. But if you do that, at least you'll know how much is expected of you or as a family contribution, so that you can kind of plan around. So if you feel like, what if you get to a point where you find out like you got into your dream school, but you can't afford it? Or if you've gotten into your dream school and you've gotten deferred and you can't afford it, or you've gotten into your dream school, or you've got rejected from your dream school, you can't afford it, but you still want to go there. Hey, all that means is that you just take another route to get to your dream school. You just might not go there right away from high school. So let me see if there are some other things that I can kind of encourage you to do. Again, being waitlisted, deferred doesn't mean that, or rejected, doesn't mean that you're not a good student. It just might mean that you're not a good fit for that college. Don't take it personal, and then just keep it moving. But if you really want to go there, you contact the admissions office. Most people just turn in their application, have no contact with the college or university, and think that that's it. If admissions, if you're calling them not just to necessarily get in, but you're saying like, hi, I used to call the admissions office, and when I was doing that early application, and back then we didn't have I am kind of a little bit older. They didn't have cell phones, so I used to wake up early in the morning because I lived in California, and then call on East Coast time because they were 3 hours earlier. So I'd wake up and then I call right away to the admissions office, and I'd say, hey, this is Amor from, California. And I used to say, because I was living in Vallejo, I said, hi, this is Amor from Vallejo, California. And I applied for, early admissions. I wanted to check if you have my application. And so I would just call, and then I make sure I know who the person is in the admissions office. And so that I used to call at least once a week. So they knew me. It could be annoying, but you know what? Not too many people call the admissions office. So call. And then also write. You can always, if you got a decision and you were rejected and you don't necessarily think that you should have been rejected, you can repeal the decision. Ask for a repeal. Ask for them to review your application. Maybe something happened in your life that, hindered your grades, and you didn't necessarily put that in your essay, and so it didn't come forth. And so people probably thought, well, this person is just slacking off. So if something has happened, that affected your grades, but you didn't necessarily write it before, and you've maybe gotten deferred. Make sure that you add, something to your application to just kind of give them a full picture of what's going on and who you're with. But no matter what, you want to make sure that you, in some kind of fashion in your essay, and they're looking at your academic records, they understand that you can do the work and you will do the work. It's not enough to say, you know what, I'm a good student. But if you're a good student, that doesn't mean having a 2.5. That means that you are taking rigorous classes. Maybe you have a 3.0 in AP classes, but you have to work hard and you have to get help, but you have to prove to the college that, you are capable academically. So don't take this personal. If there is the will, there's a way. And if this is the college or university that you want to go to, this just means that you are not necessarily getting in necessarily right now, but the door will open and can open, but be prepared for all different possibilities and always make backup plans. So what is your second choice school that you want to go to? Maybe you didn't get into your dream school, but your second choice is just as good. I remember my first choice was Spelman, and then my second was Hampton. I did get into Hampton, but I just didn't like how they said, welcome Amore, and then they sent me a package to the male dorm. I mean, I wasn't going to go. I got into Spelman, so I wasn't going to go to Hampton, but I was kind of irritated because I was like, if I was going to go to Hampton, they could at least get my, my gender right. Like, I'm not living in a guy's dorm. But at any rate, I just am talking to let you know, don't ever give up. You just have to keep pushing forth and asking for help, but then showing people who you are. If you have the work ethic and you keep working at it, you can go anywhere that you want to go. Make sure you get in contact with that admissions office and you talk to someone in there. Don't do all that crying stuff. Just say, you could ask them to open up your file. Ask them, hey, if you have been waitlisted, do you have a priority wait list? Or is there any kind of ranking in the wait list? How many people from the wait list actually get taken off the wait list so that they can go to school? You want to ask those questions. You might want to call up the admissions office if you've gotten deferred. Ask the admissions office. So, of the people, how many people are usually deferred? And out of those people that are deferred, how many actually get into the college once they go into regular admissions? You can ask those questions. But just like I said before, you can do this. And if you need help and you want personalized a plan or suggestions on what you can do to get in that college or university that you really want to go to, you can go ahead and contact me on my website at Ed Innovations, and I will be able to help you and give you some personalized counseling and give you a plan of action to get into the place that you want. So that's our webinar for tonight. Once again, the topic was, what if my application got rejected, waitlisted, or deferred? What does that mean? How do I go to college, even if those things happen? All right. So have a good night, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to get more information about getting into college.